What's going on, guys? Welcome to today's video, and today we've got a little something different here in the garage. If you can see behind me, we've got a boat, and specifically a Mastercraft boat. I was doing some routine maintenance on this thing, changing the oil before this season started, and found something a little bit unfortunate. I was idling the engine to get the oil a little bit warmer, and when you do that with a boat, you need to have the hose hooked up to the boat so it can keep the engine cool. And noticed that we were getting some water into the engine oil system. Now that's never a good thing on a car or a boat or any engine, but with a boat that is water cooled through the lake water, that is no good. Now we've got a couple possible issues here. We could have a cracked intake, a cracked engine block, or maybe we'll get off with some bad intake gaskets. But we're gonna have to tear into this thing and see. This boat has been fine for its life. It is a 2005 Mastercraft X-2 with the MCX motor. But this year, or this winter, I guess I should say, we had a extremely cold, about 2-week span that was -30s. That's super uncommon here in the Midwest, and I think that may have done some damage. So, like I said, we need to start digging into this engine and figure out what we've got going on, and hopefully we'll get away with something easy, an intake manifold, some gaskets, something like that. If bad things have happened and we need to do a engine block, then we will be doing an engine block on a boat. I've not been a boat mechanic before, but you know, bolts is bolts. So we'll take it apart, we'll deal with it, and we'll go from there. But I thought I would take you guys along and see the process of how we're hopefully going to diagnose where the water is coming from. I am hopeful that we're gonna be able to pull the intake manifold off and physically see a crack. I've not ever been in this situation before, so I don't honestly know. Are we gonna see anything? Are we not gonna see anything? I really have no idea. So we'll get the intake off. It's going to be a oily, watery milkshake mess under there. We're gonna have to scoop that stuff out. We're gonna have to hopefully get it cleaned up enough where we can see what's going on and see what we can come up with. Again, so guys, this is the boat. Like I said, a 2005 Mastercraft X-2 with the Mastercraft Extreme engine in it. This is a Vortec based 5.7 liter GM engine with some cool looking dress up parts and pieces. We've got cool intake manifold, cool valve covers, all of that stuff. Now I think I'm going to throw you guys up on the tripod and we will jump into this thing. All right guys, so I have started just barely on this thing. The other night I unhooked the fuel injector harness, since this is a multi-port engine, and I went ahead and unbolted the intake, the upper intake manifold, I guess, since this does have an upper and a lower, and unplugged our electronic throttle body, our map sensor here on the back, and got this thing up and lifted out of the way. And now at this point, we are ready to unhook all of this thermostat, coolant hose mess. We need to pull the distributor, pull the fuel line off, and then we will be ready to unbolt the intake and hopefully get the thing out of the way and maybe see something. I really don't know, but we will figure that out together, I guess. Well, I got the intake manifold off and it was a mess under the intake, obviously because of the water. Got that cleaned out, looked at the intake gaskets. They unfortunately looked fine. Looked at the intake manifold and it also unfortunately looked fine, and I've got the valley pretty much cleaned out, and I guess I will show you guys what I've found here on the engine. All right guys, so we are sitting right on top of the engine here. We'll get a little light here. And as you can see, we've got a lovely crack in the engine block. And it's, you know, equally cracked on both sides, you know, equal opportunity here. So it looks like we are going to be putting an engine in this boat. Now, this is a pretty low hour boat. The engine, all the internal parts and pieces are super nice and clean, not nasty, not dirty, not sludgy. So we've got a couple of different options. We can do a long block, we can do a short block, or we can do a bare block. Now, I do not have a whole lot of experience building engines. The easiest way would obviously be a long block. It already has cylinder heads on it. We would just basically toss it back in the boat, put our intake on it, and we would be good, but that is the most expensive option. So that leaves us with a short block or a bare block. And again, it's about double the cost for a short block of a bare block. Now, I am assuming or hoping that my cylinder heads are in good shape because it wasn't ran, it wasn't ever overheated. It just idled for a little while with the water going into the oil system. So we weren't running it for a long time. All the bearings should probably be fine. So I'm almost leaning towards the crazy idea of going with a bare engine block, swapping the cam, crank, pistons, heads, everything from this motor over to the new bare block. That still lets me reuse all of the cool Mastercraft MCX cam, pistons, all of the stuff that this motor has would get swapped over to the new bare block. Now, obviously, that's going to be the longest option time-wise because we are building an engine from nothing. So that brings up the second issue, is parts availability. I have called and searched for long blocks, short blocks, and bare blocks, and have pretty much come up with the fact that I can't get anything anytime soon. So regardless of what option I need to do, we need to get this motor out of the boat. We can get it on an engine stand and we can figure how much we want to tear this thing apart. We could have the heads sent out and check to make sure our heads are good, because if our cylinder heads are good, we know we could possibly rule out a long block and go with a short block or the bare block. So guys, regardless of what option we pick, we need to get this boat anchor at this point out of the engine bay and sitting on an engine stand. So let me know in the comments, what do you think the best option would be? Short block, long block, or bare block? I kind of think it would be interesting to build an engine from a bare engine block and have it run, or hopefully run. That's the end goal. So the big hurdle, like I said, before we get too wrapped up in how we repair it, is getting the thing out of the hole. So that's what's gonna happen next. Next video with this thing, we're gonna be unbolting the engine, getting all the exhaust manifolds, all of that out of the way so we can then deal with lifting this thing out of there. So hopefully I'll see you guys next time with this thing, and we will be pulling some bolts out. So guys, as always, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys next time.